got any bad habits. So it helps probably to ride them before in the mornings and really get to know them well, but it's not essential. In fact, a lot of big time races, they'll fly a jockey in from somewhere and he's probably never seen the horse before when he gets on them, so they get a vibe going pretty quickly. Anyone else out here? Right here. What are these riders wearing these vests for?
Well, in case they have a spill or fall off or some sort of an accident, theory is that it prevents them from getting kicked in the ribs or in the back, and so you have a little padding there. Even if you get stepped on, you have a little help.
We'll go to the back and then Carol will go next. What do you got there? What do you tell a jockey in the paddock when you see the trainer talking to the jockey before a race? What are you talking about? Were you going tonight, or what did he do last night? Or?
I don't think they want to get into that. But usually the jockeys that I ride, like Alex Solis and David Flores and Mike Smith, I don't tell them anything because I have them on that horse to ride that horse. And they're very intelligent and seasoned jockeys, so my theory is you can tell them everything you want to tell them, but when the gates open, all of that changes, so it's up to them at that time to follow the course that they should.
And we had one right here, we'll get to you next. What do you think of the poly track?
Well, so far it's been, I'd say, a pretty successful experiment.
Now, wait a minute, does shortness mean he approves of it or he disapproves of it? I'm going to go with the latter. I don't think he's that happy with it. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, and he's been around so long. He loved those sand tracks, and this is something new, and it's going to take a long time before, I think, if ever, he likes it. If he had a choice, he would go back to sand, am I right? Nothing wrong with it, but that's what he would do.
Well, sandy loam has been the earth for horses because it's giving, and it's where they can take a bath in and things like that. So they've evolved with sandy loam, and so has the thoroughbred. And I think that the finest tracks were sandy loam tracks before they started adding wood products. When they started adding wood products, it made the sandy loam become a different component. It wouldn't release out of the foot. So when it packs in the foot, then the frog can't work like it should, and that's how you get your fractures. But in old days of Santa Anita, Golden Gate Fields, Bay Meadows, Ted, all the old timers used sandy loam, even dam loam at Golden Gate. So I haven't had any trouble with any tracks, because if something happens to one of my horses, get a little sore, I always turn him out and give him a rest. So I think it's, I still love sandy loam tracks.
We have to say goodbye to Randy Winnick. He's got some other business to do out there, obviously, but thank you very much, Randy. Very, very good. Thank you for answering the question.
Thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure being here, and have a good day racing.
And I can tell you, not just because he's standing next to me, but anybody who knows me, I've been here for 25 years now, and whenever they talk about training horses, there are only two names that I bring up, and one was Charlie Whittingham, and the other one is Bruce Headley. If everyone trained horses like Bruce Headley, we would reduce breakdowns probably 99%. I'm thinking off the top of my head, maybe it's happened just because if you're around long enough, it will happen. I can't remember one of his horses breaking down on the track, and I've never seen a Bruce Headley horse run, A, that doesn't belong on the racetrack, and B, doesn't belong in that race. You know, every time they go, they're where they should be, they fit, they're ready to run.
Thank you.
Any more questions out there for Bruce Headley? Right here, sorry. Oh, I'll get to you next. I'm sorry. All right. How do you pick jockeys? Is it the jockey suits the horse, or is it just which jockeys you like?
Well,
he was here on business.
I like proven jockeys, and after watching over a period of years, you pick out a style. I like a style that's a free floating style, exactly what the horse wants. Like I copied that from Shoemaker. He's always floating in the right position, so I always try to pick a jockey that has a forward pitch floating. And a good jockey can ride any horse, like Trevor says. They can fly in from London and ride a winner.
And right here. Like the horse called Got Coco that Bruce Headley used to train, and where is she?
Gut Coco we sold her for $1.5 million, and they bred her to AP Indy. So they had one of her first foals in the sale. I don't know what happened to him, but she's being bred to some of the finest stallions in Kentucky. She was one of those fillies that was a steal. She was a bargain at the end of the sale for $30,000. I think she sold the last day, and she turned out to be quite a filly. And Gut Coco means if there's any Hawaiian here, they know you got Hawaiian blood. You're a hybrid.
I was going to stop him there because I don't know. You never know what's coming next for Bruce, but I think that one is okay. Yeah. He's got his own vocabulary, and they've got to just be a little careful. Do we have one right there?
How did you become a trainer?
I'm sorry.
How did you become a trainer?
How did you become a trainer?
Well, I was fortunate enough to be born right by Santa Anita, and during the Depression, one of my uncles was a Monrovia policeman, and he was hired by Mr. Strube for the first pile of wood at Santa Anita. So my aunt used to bring me out there babysitting, so I fell in love with the colors and the horses and the sound of Joe Hernandez immediately.
Joe Hernandez was the old announcer at Santa Anita way back. Not so long ago, was it? No. We got one right there. Be careful.
What do you think about the proposed government regulation, the increased proposed government involvement in racing?
How do you feel about the government getting involved in racing? Just recently there's been some Senate committee meetings about racing. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's an idea that, but I don't ever like government in anything. Because when you get too far out, you don't know enough about horses. You know about rules and regulations, but it seems like horsemanship is bypassed through things with government.
Did I leave anybody out that I promised? No, we'll take there and then we'll go to you next, right over here. Years ago, they used to take the horses down to the ocean. You've probably seen pictures around the racetrack, and the question is, do you still do that?
Well, here's a fine example of government. They didn't want them down there, so I mean, it was such a tradition. All the greatest horsemen and horses I ever knew went to the beach when they got to Del Mar. It was a great opportunity for them to go down and roll in that soft sand, like I'm telling you. I mean, they'd even touch it. They'd go down with jockeys on them, or if you stopped and got off, they'd lay. They can't get to soft ground soon enough, so when they took the water, the beach, their vacation away, the horse had to pay.
Right there. What helps you to decide to put in a claim?
I don't like to claim horses, so I like to develop horses. I like to buy horses at the sale, so I'm not a claiming trainer. I like to start them, put the brain I want on, the habits I want on, and up from the top. I don't like claiming horses off other guys. That's another game in itself.
We're going right there.
Excuse me, just a minute. This man did say, which was a fine point, they still let dogs on the track, on the beach.
It's made of horse beach.
Sorry, the question was about magnificence. Are you going to see, Bruce Headley's got a really nice filly called Magnificence, and the question is, are we going to see her at Del Mar?
Well, you can see her. She's out here every morning at 7:30, but there's the big filly race. She'll be in that for 6.5 furlongs.